time for Overtime.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros, with interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking.
3-2 pitch. Fastball belted deep right. Ball gone.
Hear from coaches to players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime, now with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Welcome. It's hour number 2 on a Friday, final day of May. Thanks so much for being with us, and it is time to square up with your neighbor. It is the High Noon Showdown, always brought to you by the all-new Uncle Ed's Specialty Meats. You can elevate your grill game at Uncle Ed's on the east side of Sioux Falls. Our lucky callers to duke it out today, Robert and Dustin. Robert was caller 3, Dustin caller number 7. Robert, welcome into the show, man. You just got to tell me, do you want your questions from List A or List B today, Robert?
I'll go List A.
List A for Robert. That puts Dustin on List B. We're ready to rumble. It's time for the latest and greatest edition of the High Noon Showdown, brought to you by the all-new Uncle Ed's Specialty Meats.
You want a piece of me?
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing.
Can you feel the tension in the air right now? I know I can.
Doesn't have to be a fight in a parking lot, although we'd love to see that, actually. It's time to duke it out in this week's edition of the High Noon Showdown.
I've got Robert, I've got Dustin on the line with me, and an opportunity to prove you're a well-rounded sports fan and earn a gigantically cool prize pack that includes a gift certificate to the all-new Uncle Ed's Specialty Meats and the aforementioned final Results Radio VIP golf card. 14 different courses on the back of this thing. It's a punch card for you to head out and swing the sticks for free in our area. All sorts of great stuff here. Robert's up to bat first. Robert, what jersey number does Boston Celtics player Kristaps Porzingis wear?
3.
That is not correct, but not a terrible start. We'll see exactly how it pans out here. Dustin, opportunity to go up early, my friend. Kyrie Irving. What jersey number does he wear?
11.
That is right. You didn't sound so sure, but you got it right, Dustin. Now you can take a commanding lead if you can tell me where this player played his college football. Where did DJ Moore, the Bears receiver, go to college?
DJ Moore went to Maryland.
That is correct. Good start for Dustin. Back on hold he goes. Robert, you got to be perfect the rest of the way to have a chance. You got to start here. New Bears running back DeAndre Swift. Where did he play his college football?
Let's go Georgia.
That is correct, Robert. I don't know what it is about thinking that you're wrong, but you guys are 2 for 2 on those big side questions so far. I got a multiple choice question for you to keep it alive here, Robert. When was the last time that the Chicago Bears won a playoff game? When was the last time the Bears won a playoff game? Was it A, 2010, B, 2011, or was it 2016?
2011.
That is not correct. Robert falls just short. The last time the Bears won a playoff game was 2010. Believe it or not, and that was the year the Bears were the better team. They had the more complete roster than the Green Bay Packers, but the Packers and Aaron Rodgers went on to beat the Bears in the postseason with that B.J. Raji shuffle shimmy end zone pick 6 and everything that went along with that. Chicago Bears went down then. Now, Dustin, welcome back, man. You already won the prize pack. I got you hooked up with that, but prove that you're a winner. You can go undefeated if you can tell me this one correctly. When was the last time the Bears won the NFC North? Was it 2009, 2016, or 2018 for the Bears?
I'll go with 16.
That is not correct. 2018, 12-4 season. Matt Nagy, the coach of the year, the double doink from Cody Parkey. Memorable season, miserable end of the season for the Bears. But Dustin, you're our winner regardless. Congratulations, you win today's edition, this week's edition of the High Noon Showdown. Congrats.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, that's Dustin, our winner on the High Noon Showdown today. And let's dive in now to the remainder of the show. Coming in on your headlines and highlights and everything in between, David Parker, the director of the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus, will join us in about 10 minutes on the show. And then we'll dive into the Timberwolves season recap and why you shouldn't be that disappointed. You're allowed to be dismayed and disappointed today, but when you look at the future of Minnesota on the basketball floor, it is very bright, and perhaps the brightest future out of any NBA team right now belongs to the Twin Cities. NFL latest, good, the bad, the ugly still to come. First things first, though, diving into your scorecard. Florida and the Rangers went to battle last night from New York, and it was the Panthers coming out on top.
Reinhardt taken away for it now. He's got it on the near side. The final seconds tick away, and the Panthers take Game 5 by a 3-2 final score. And the Panthers take a 3-2 lead in this Eastern Conference Final. The Panthers knock off the Rangers tonight, and the Panthers are now one win away from a second straight trip to the Stanley Cup Final.
Florida Panthers win at 3-2. They lead the series 3-2. Tonight in the NHL, Oilers at Stars, Game 5. That series tied 2 games apiece, 7:30 start on TNT. NBA Final from last night. Minnesota Timberwolves and their fans were excited that they bought themselves another game. This one lopsided early. Luka Doncic, 20 points in the first quarter as he finishes with 36 and a dominant win for Dallas.
Doncic on the left wing with a shot clock at 7. He's got Towns on him. He's going to try a 3 from straight away, and he banks it in. It's been that kind of a night, that kind of a series for Luka Doncic. 36 for Doncic.
Doncic, 36 points, 10 rebounds in the win, 124-103 the final. Anthony Edwards, 28 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. And as you look back at the season, head coach Chris Finch says this is all about redefining our standards and learning what it takes to win.
As every series goes along, it just gets to another level of execution, another level of fitness, another level of readiness, another level of closing quarters. Everything becomes a little more heightened every series that you go through. So I think that's the biggest thing for us.
Minnesota head coach Chris Finch there. Now for the star of the show, Anthony Edwards. He finished with 28 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists last night. He said it was an enjoyable playoff run this year for his team.
It's fun, man. I love it. I wish we could still play. I wish we was going back to Dallas for Game 6. But those guys came out and they competed at a high level. And like I said, man, big shout out to them. But it's super fun, and I'm looking forward to being back right in this situation next year.
Minnesota Timberwolves definitely looking forward to that. They got a lot of offseason decisions to make, a lot of offseason ownership drama to sort out as well. Now let's focus on what's ahead for the Celtics and the Mavericks in the finals. Here's head coach Joe Mazzulla of Boston on the expectations surrounding his team.
We all have an expectation of ourselves, and I would say that expectation is probably higher than anything from any other place. So the expectation we have from ourselves is the standard. It's the most important thing. And, our bench has been great all year. So, there's nothing really to change. They've done great for us. Every series is different. And what goes into winning a series is completely different. So matchups change, sub patterns change, roles change, coverages change. And so we just have to be open-minded and have an understanding that whoever's out there has a chance to impact winning. And we just need to be ready to do that at all costs.
Give you an NBA Finals preview later in the show today, but from a Mavericks perspective, head coach Jason Kidd says, hey, we're on to the next thing, and that's the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011.
We are going to enjoy this, but we obviously know this is just a pit stop in the journey, and we got to get ready for, that court turning gold, as I like to say. As a kid, that's what you dream of, getting to is the finals and being able to play against the best of the best with the whole world watching.
And again, NBA Finals are set. First game is Thursday. Next Thursday, that's June the 6th, Mavs will visit the Celtics in Game 1, 7:30 start time on ABC. Before we depart the world of basketball, there's one player that could be gone, potentially, and one player that's due some money in Minnesota. Let's do the latter first. It's Rudy Gobert who needs to get paid, according to Brian Windhorst.
He's actually due a contract extension this summer. Believe it or not. And, it's going to be in the range of $40 to $50 million if the Wolves go there. I don't even 100% know what ownership is going to make the call. So it is a pinch point where they got to decide whether they want to extend with him.
That's Brian Windhorst on the future of Rudy Gobert. As for the future of Karl Anthony Towns, Wendy's not so sure that he's staying in Minnesota long term.
If there's a question about the Timberwolves, it's can they afford to keep Karl Towns? Because they are headed for a financial cliff when Ant Edwards' max contract kicks in on July 1st with uncertain ownership. We're not really 100% sure who's going to own the team at the start of next season because they are in arbitration over who gets to own the team. And they have not been a team that has paid the luxury tax very often. I think they've paid a couple of $1 million in the last 20 years, and they're facing tens of millions of dollars in luxury tax. If they lose Karl Towns, it won't be because they think they can trade him to get a better piece. It will be because they can't afford this roster with the new rules here in Minnesota.
It's an interesting offseason, and when you have success at any sporting level, the vultures come circling and try to pick apart the team, and that might be what we see a little bit of for the Minnesota Timberwolves moving forward. Will that big three stay together? If so, for how long and at what cost? For the Minnesota Timberwolves, if it were me, I'd find a way to keep it together as long as I can and keep that depth and the role players that you've got on the roster as well. Minnesota, very unique roster in today's NBA in terms of depth, scoring ability, personality, and everything else. Minnesota Timberwolves very much here to stay. Major League Baseball final from yesterday. Ryan Jeffers goes deep once again as Minnesota trailed early and put the nail in the coffin late as they take down visiting Kansas City 7-6.
See if he just stays with the fastballs here against Jeffers here. And that ball's hit in the left center field, hit well. Not going to be caught. That ball is in the bullpen. A home run for Jeffers. 4-3 Kansas City.
Kansas City was clinging to that 4-3 lead at that point. Minnesota would win the game 7-6 from Target Field. New record for the Twins, 31-25. The win goes to Caleb Thielbar. The save goes to Johan Duran, his 9th of the season. Cubs lost to the Brewers yesterday in Milwaukee, 6-4 the final. New record for the Cubs. Pretty disappointing. 28-29 on the season, despite the strong start. Cubs have trailed and not had a good stretch by any means. Milwaukee Brewers, on the other hand, pretty darn impressive. 33-23, the new record for the Brew Crew. Elsewhere, Detroit won in Boston 5-0 yesterday. Today and tonight in Major League Baseball, Reds and Cubs get us going early from Wrigley. That starts in an hour, a 1:20 start time. Other matchups on the docket: Cardinals at Phillies, Tigers at Red Sox, Nationals at Guardians, White Sox at Brewers, Padres at Royals, and the Dodgers are home to the Rockies tonight for the nightcap at 9:10. Minnesota Twins are in Houston against the Astros, 7:10 the start time, 6:30 pregame coverage right here on ESPN Sioux Falls. And your Twins weekend schedule: Saturday at Houston, 3:10 the start time, Sunday at Houston, 12:05 the early start there, 11:30 pregame coverage on Sunday. WNBA final from yesterday. The Indiana Fever's slow start, tough start to the season continues. They are now 1-8 following a dismantling home loss to the hands of Seattle, 103-88. Tonight in the WNBA, Aces at the Dream at 6:30. Mercury visit the Minnesota Lynx at 8:30. Next up for Indiana and Caitlin Clark, they are home to the Sky, the Chicago Sky, 11 o'clock on ESPN coming up on Saturday. On for the race of the weekend. NASCAR races Sunday at Worldwide Technology Raceway, 2:30 start time on Fox Sports 1. And PGA Tour golf continues from north of the border. The RBC Canadian Open continues from Hamilton, Ontario today and through Sunday for the PGA Tour. Those are your Reliabank headlines of the day, and to dive into your scorecard as well. When we come back, we'll be talking all things you need to know about one of the great local resources in our area. That's the outdoor campus right in our neck of the woods here, south side of Sioux Falls, southwest side of Sioux Falls. If you haven't been, if you're curious, or if you simply have never heard of it before and what they do, what they offer, a lot of free things, you'll want to tune in next as we'll talk with David Parker, the director of the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus, coming up next on Overtime.
Get ESPN with the free app and online. Grab your phone or call us up on your smart device. Now let's get you back to Overtime with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO.
Right back with you on the Friday edition of Overtime. Well, it's that time of year where it's warming up. It might not be the prettiest day outside, but we had a beautiful stretch earlier this week, over last weekend as well. And it might get you to thinking, I need to get to the outdoors. I need to go enjoy nature. I know myself, we were out hiking a couple different places in our area, but year-round, there's a great resource here on the south side of Sioux Falls called the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus. If you haven't been, it's right there next to the Butterfly House. It is a great resource, all sorts of free classes, engagement for young kids, adults like me, old folks, everything in between for the outdoor campus. Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus Director David Parker joins us now on the ESPN hotline. David, it's a blast to have you, my friend. How you been?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
It's a blast to talk to you, and I know that that this is your job, and there's a lot to talk about for the outdoor campus. But for those folks that are new to town, or maybe they're on a different side of town, or maybe they've just been sleeping under a rock, talk to us about the outdoor campus, the history, the mission, and what it is, what it offers to us here in the Sioux Falls area.
Yeah, so the outdoor campus is part of the South Dakota Game Fishing Parks, which is a state agency. And we are located in Sertoma Park. And what we are is we are an educational facility out of the wildlife division of the Game Fishing Park. So what we focus on is providing free programming and classes to anyone in the public. We offer classes in hunting, fishing, conservation science, and outdoor skills. And our focus is learning through experiences. So having folks who come to us learn through doing and enjoying the outdoors. And we've been in Sertoma Park since 1997, so we're 25 plus years into existence, and have reached numerous folks through our programming and just love what we get to do.
And again, the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus, you can find out more information at GFP, that's gamefishparks.sd.gov. Outdoor Campus Sioux Falls open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturday 10 to 4, closed on Sundays and state holidays. Big news for you guys these days. Summertime programming booklet is out. You guys got all sorts of free classes and an opportunity not only to have some fun, but learn something in the process and be outside. Talk to us about a couple highlights for you and your staff as you gear it up for this summertime activities booklet.
Yeah, so one of the things that's exciting about summer is we have tons of interns that help us with our programming, which gives us the opportunity to offer a lot more classes. We do offer classes throughout the whole year. But a few highlights for the summer are our Super Saturdays. So most Saturdays through the summer, we offer fishing, paddling, or archery at the campus. So folks can come out. They don't have to register, and we offer those 10 to 12 and 1 to 3. So the first one's coming up tomorrow. We'll be doing fishing here at the outdoor campus. And you can show up. You don't need gear. You don't need bait. You just show up, and we'll have all that for you. You can go fishing right in our pond.
Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus, so many great resources. What else comes to mind as a couple other things? Because these Super Saturdays are a lot of fun. Are there any new events that come on this summer booklet and summer programming booklet each year?
Yeah, not necessarily new, but we've got two events that are coming up that'll be pretty exciting. One of them is our Women's Try-It Night. So that one it's a fun night that we invite specifically females to come out. It's 5:30 to 6:30, and it'll be June 20th. Or not 5:30 to 6:30, 5:30 to 9. It'll be June 20th. That one does require registration, but you can register online at our webpage. Another one that comes out is August 10th from 10 to noon. We're going to have what we call our hunting and fishing gear giveaway. So throughout the year, we've been collecting gently used outdoor gear that people have in their closets that are no longer using. We clean it up, and then on that August 10th date, anyone in the public is welcome to come and grab what they will need to be able to get out and enjoy the outdoors.
David Parker, the director of the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus, is our guest here. Hour number 2 of Overtime on a Friday. Great way to spend time. Great opportunity to get out in nature with the Outdoor Campus right here in the heart of Sioux Falls at Sertoma Park. David, talk to us a little bit about this Hunting 101 program, because somebody like me, I've never been hunting before, and as the parent of young kids, I'd love at some point maybe to learn more and do so with my kids. So is that a good opportunity? And tell us more about that program.
Yeah, you bet. It'd be a perfect opportunity for you. So we offer Hunting 101. It's a kind of a comprehensive hunting class where what's coming up recently is deer season. So we help walk you through how to purchase a deer tag, and specifically for those folks taking Hunting 101, it's usually a mentor or a youth tag or an apprentice tag. But we walk you through how to purchase that tag. We walk you through how to shoot correctly. So we take you to the gun range, and you get to use our rifles and our ammo. and then we take you out into the field. We've got a couple different locations to take you, and often people are successful at harvesting a deer, and then you bring that deer back, and we'll teach you how to process it, and you get to keep the meat. And the only charge for that class is just the cost of the tag.
And it's obviously a big-time opportunity. Really great stuff, as always, from the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus. David, let me ask you this as far as last year to this year and 10 years ago to now. What kind of growth have you seen as far as participation, numbers, and engagement with the Outdoor Campus?
Yeah, so, again, people really enjoy getting outside. So since starting in 97, we just keep growing and growing. We've had, participation keeps growing. And then another interesting thing growing, because you know that Sioux Falls is getting bigger every year, is we're actually expanding our facility. So we're going to be adding an outdoor archery range that's 60 yards, and then we'll be adding to our indoor facility as well with an indoor archery range, more classrooms, and a kitchen classroom area, game processing space. And again, just all these additions are trying to keep up with the programming demand we have and keep up with the growing population here in South Dakota.
It's a very exciting time, not just for Sioux Falls, but for the Outdoor Campus as well. David, lastly, before we let you go, just a couple things here as far as outreach and community goes and engaging with the Outdoor Campus. What's the best way to get involved and kind of engage with the Outdoor Campus and learn more about what you guys do and what you offer?
Yeah, so a couple things that come to mind is swing by our facility. Like you said, we're open most days. Swing by, come learn about what we do, kind of talk to the staff. But other than that, come take a class with us. They're all free. Or if you want and you're interested, you can volunteer with us as well. We have a fairly robust volunteer program where you can come and help us teach classes, or if you want, you can welcome people into the campus, or if you're feeling really keen, we can let you lead a class yourself if that's something you want to do.
Absolutely. Big opportunities across the board. That's David Parker, the director of the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus. Hope to talk to you again soon. Wish you and your staff and the volunteers all the best moving forward this summer. And thanks for all you guys do there at the Outdoor Campus. Such a great resource for all of us in the 605. Thanks so much for the time, David.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
All right, that's David Parker, the director of the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus. Again, for more information, it's an easy place to find. You just type in Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus into Google. You can find it, gfp.sd.gov as well, and you can dive into all of those classes. All of them are free. Some of them require registration, but all of them are free. Hunting 101, summer programming. There's all sorts of learn to fish, learn to hunt, learn to just survive in the outdoors, all sorts of different things available for free at the Outdoor Campus. I thought it was definitely worth the spotlight on the show and such an underappreciated resource here in the Sioux Empire as the Outdoor Campus continues to grow. That is David Parker, once again, the director of the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus. And I got to tell you, too, for young kids, it is an absolute blast. We actually had my son's birthday party out there this past year, and they hosted, with a couple volunteers, a wildlife class where they got to learn about turtles, and they got to learn about local wildlife and local animals, the highlights of them, their adaptations, what makes them fun. So educational, and right here in our backyard, Sertoma Park, the Sioux Falls Outdoor Campus, a great resource for all. We take the break. When we come back, let's get that Friday parlay posted up live with you. We'll also wrap up the Minnesota Timberwolves season, and I'll tell you why you shouldn't be that disappointed for too darn long if you're a Timberwolves fan. We'll also dive into the latest odds and numbers and what Vegas expects to happen in the NBA Finals. The Mavericks and the Celtics, a matchup that a lot of people didn't see coming, especially from the Western Conference. We'll take that break and be back talking NBA, Friday Parlay Live, and more on this Friday edition of Overtime.
Overtime Day. Unwrap your sandwich and get caught up with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you on the Friday edition of Overtime. Thanks so much for being with us as always. If you ever miss any of the show, podcast links are easily accessible at ESPNSiouxFalls.com or on your mobile device on the free ESPN Sioux Falls app. All sorts of great local stories, local content, and of course, Overtime on demand. Let's dive into some NBA talk here. First things first. The latest from the coaching carousel. The Washington Wizards have hired Brian Keefe as their head coach as of Wednesday of this week, sticking with the man who led the team on an interim basis from late January until the end of the season. Keefe was in his first season as an assistant coach for the Wizards when he was promoted to the interim head coach role on January the 25th, replacing head coach Wes Unseld Jr. Washington was 7-36 at the time of the change and went 8-31 the rest of the season. Keefe was an assistant for OKC when the Thunder reached the NBA Finals back in 2012, and he joined the Wizards after a couple seasons with the Brooklyn Nets. The Wizards have the second pick in the upcoming draft, held June 26th through the 27th, as well as picks 26 and 51, but it's unclear whether there's a generational talent available who can expedite Washington's rebuild. The team hasn't made a top 5 pick since back in 2013 when they selected Otto Porter Jr. And Washington hasn't advanced past the second round of the playoffs since 1979. One of the more modern, putrid histories season to season for the Washington Wizards. They do have a new head coach, solidifying Brian Keefe from the interim title to the full-time head coach there in D.C. Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks have gone from long shots to win the Western Conference to underdogs against Boston in the NBA Finals. The Celtics opened as -225 favorites on Thursday at ESPN Bet, and the Mavericks were listed as +185 underdogs after clinching Game 5 in a blowout to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. The Celtics opened as 6-point favorites against the Mavericks in Game 1, which will be played June 6th. That's upcoming next Thursday, a little bit less than a week away. Boston's Jason Tatum was the betting favorite for Finals MVP at -130, and Doncic was next at +200. Then it's Jaylen Brown, followed by Kyrie Irving at +2,400. With those odds, the Mavericks began the season as around 25-1 long shots to win the title and saw their odds drift as far as 50-1 at some sports books in January. But Dallas upgraded their roster at the trade deadline and impressed odds makers during the postseason. That's a big dub for me. Dallas has been very impressive. And by the way, that aforementioned spread has already leapt up to 6.5, according to ESPN Bet for Game 1 on Thursday. Score total 214.5. Now, lastly here, as we round out the segment and get the Friday parlay posted here in a minute, the Dallas Mavericks did end the season last night for the Minnesota Timberwolves in the most impressive postseason run in decades for the franchise. But Anthony Edwards said, "We'll be back next year." After totaling 28 points on 10 of 18 shooting, the former number 1 pick capped off his 4th season in the league with a second-team All-NBA nod and 3 40-point playoff games as Minnesota reached the Western Conference Finals for the first time since Kevin Garnett led them there in 2004, and the second time in franchise history. After sweeping the Suns in the first round, they took down Denver in round number 2, and the Timberwolves let their fans down just a little bit in the last round, the Western Conference Finals, with the Dallas Mavericks. But I'm here to tell you folks out there, Timberwolves fans and otherwise, what a tremendous season this was. Last year was a big disappointment. You had the new trade, Gobert in town. Karl-Anthony Towns had that calf injury that kept him out for a very long stretch of the season, and they bow out early in the postseason. Now this year, Minnesota defied all expectation. Anthony Edwards became a bona fide star. Karl-Anthony Towns proved that he's not as selfish as he was painted in the past, and Rudy Gobert grew into his role, and everything was pretty darn hunky-dory. They battled some injury. They maintained the 1 spot for the majority of the year, and then in the postseason, and I hammered the table at that time, and I'll hammer it again, Minnesota was up against a terrible draw. They had Phoenix, a team that had just beat them, and they sweep the Suns out of the postseason like it was nothing. Then they go toe-to-toe with Denver, back-and-forth series, and I said it, if they get by Denver, it's a changing of the narrative kind of win, regardless of what happens the rest of the way. Now, ideally, you take down the defending champs in such an impressive way. You want to go finish the job and win the whole darn thing. That wasn't in the cards, but I'm here to tell you now, this team's here to stay. They reshaped the narrative nationally and otherwise, and Minnesota's bringing back more experience, more depth, and Anthony Edwards has found himself, and who he is moving forward is very dangerous and one of the best players in the entire league. Minnesota should feel very good about their future following a historic season and a year in which they exceeded expectations and finally cleared that glass ceiling and punched their way into the Western Conference Finals. And there's a lot of better things ahead for Minnesota, I am sure. Now on to the Friday Parlay. Parlay always brought to you by High End Glass and Tobacco. Here's your picks for the weekend. We'll be talking NHL hockey and Major League Baseball. NHL Game 6 on Saturday. Rangers at the Panthers. You just got to pick them here. Dallas at Edmonton for NHL Game 6 on Sunday from the postseason. Also a pick 'em. And also a pick 'em from Major League Baseball. Minnesota and Houston from Houston on Sunday. That's Game 3 of the series again on Sunday. And the tiebreaker for the parlay, total runs for St. Louis and Philadelphia. That's Sunday Night Baseball. Enter now on Twitter at ESPNSiouxFalls.com, hashtag Friday Parlay. If you've never entered before, it's an opportunity to win big week in and week out. And I got Twins tickets in the bag for this weekend as well. Minnesota Twins tickets for an upcoming game on June the 19th. Up for grabs in the Friday Parlay, always brought to you by High End Glass and Tobacco. We take the break, and we're back to round out the show and round out the week of the show. Believe it or not, I've been off all week long, back in on a Friday, but we'll wrap up the show coming up next with a prolonged edition of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's next on Overtime as we say so long to the week and so long to the month of May, next on Overtime.
You want more of Overtime? It's all on the podcast. Free with the app or online at ESPN Sioux Falls. Overtime with Bert Rameen on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO.
Right back with you on the Friday edition of Overtime. Time to say so long to the day of the show, the week of the show, and the month of May right now. You are tuned in. It's time for the good, the bad, the ugly. A lot to get to today on the show.
Who's been the problem child today? Displayed their ugly side, whined a bit too much, and is now setting a bad example? Bert is calling out today's headline makers with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
We just told you that the Minnesota Timberwolves put themselves back on the map nationally in the NBA and otherwise, and it's a big opportunity for USD and SDSU football to be on a national stage this year as well. South Dakota's Week 2 game at Wisconsin against the Badgers has been picked up by the Fox Network and will be broadcast nationally on Fox Sports 1. Kickoff against the Badgers is set for 2:30 in the afternoon on Saturday, September 7th at Camp Randall Stadium. Tickets in the South Dakota sections are for sale right now. GoYotes.com for $50 each. If you've never been to Madison, if you've never been to Camp Randall, I would highly recommend making the trip. Coyotes Badgers coming up Fox Sports 1 on Saturday, September the 7th. South Dakota State will have back-to-back rivalry football games televised nationally on ESPN's family of networks during the upcoming season as part of a new 6-year TV rights agreement signed last summer between the MVFC and ESPN. At least 9 regular season league games will be featured on ESPN linear networks. That is ESPN, ESPN2, or ESPNU through the 2029 season. Both of the MVFC's nationally televised games selected for the upcoming season feature South Dakota State. The October 19th Dakota Marker game against the Bison up there in North Dakota, and the October 26th Interstate Series matchup against USD held in Brookings at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium will be nationally televised. ESPN on Thursday announced it will show approximately 1,000 college football games across all platforms this season, starting in week 0 of the regular season and concluding with the CFP National Championship presented by AT&T on Monday, January 20th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The Red River rivalry in Dallas between Texas and Oklahoma, their first as members of the new conference, the SEC, in October. It will be October 12th at 3:30. ABC will also have a triple header on Black Friday featuring Oklahoma State at Colorado, Mississippi State at Ole Miss, and Georgia Tech at Georgia. As they say, the old adage, you can't have too much football. ESPN not playing around 1,000 games across their networks coming up for next season. The French Open is off and running, and Italy's Matteo Arnaldi produced a sensational performance to take out number 6 seed Andrei Rublev of Russia and reach the last 16 of the French Open earlier on today. The 23-year-old saved a set point in the opening set and went on to dominate his emotionally charged opponent for a 7-6, 6-2, 6-4 win to equal his best Grand Slam run. Rublev ranted and raged at himself as the match began to slip away, thumping his racket into his legs and kicking his courtside bench as another chance at a deep Grand Slam run eluded the Russian. But it's Italy's Matteo Arnaldi, one of the stories so far of many at the French Open. On to the bad. Former NBA forward Drew Gordon, the older brother of Denver's Aaron Gordon, passed away in a car accident in Portland on Thursday. His agent Calvin Andrews and the Nuggets confirmed to ESPN's Anscape. Gordon was just 33 years old, played 9 games for the Sixers back in 2014-2015. Native of San Jose, California, Gordon's pro basketball journey also included stops in the G League and countries like Serbia, Sardinia, Turkey, France, Lithuania, Poland, Ukraine, as well as 3 different teams in Russia. Rest in peace, just 33 years old as he passes away, Drew Gordon, the older brother of Denver's Aaron Gordon. Now on to the ugly news, and this one certainly is ugly. Kansas City Chiefs have had a very ugly offseason, and it continues as defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs turned himself into the Tuscaloosa County Jail yesterday after he allegedly mistreated 2 dogs. A Tuscaloosa Police Department spokesperson confirmed that Buggs surrendered at the jail on Thursday, a day after 2 misdemeanor warrants were filed against the player. Buggs was booked and released on a $600 bond and faces a court hearing coming up on June the 13th. He refused a reporter's question while leaving the jail and getting into a truck. According to court documents, the Tuscaloosa Police Department received a report that 2 dogs were being left on the back porch of a home being rented by the player. Officers in animal control found a gray and white pit bull and a black Rottweiler on a screened-in back porch with no access to food or water. Both dogs appeared malnourished and neglected, and the residence appeared to be abandoned. Witnesses told police that Buggs had recently moved from the house, and both dogs were seized, and the pit bull was eventually euthanized. Very ugly situation, and again, it doesn't fly with me, doesn't fly with anybody. I don't think it should fly with anyone when you abuse any kind of animal. Bad look there, the alleged abuse there, again, still not confirmed, but Isaiah Buggs has turned himself in on those charges. Very ugly situation for the NFL, for the Kansas City Chiefs, again, as this offseason continues to get worse and worse and worse for those defending champs. That's the good, the bad, the ugly, and that is our show on a Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Next week, we're back Monday through Thursday, off on Friday. Can't wait to break down the weekend of the sports world. Have a great weekend, Sioux Falls. We'll talk to you on Monday at 11 to 1 for the next edition of Overtime right here on ESPN Sioux Falls.